Reactions to the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was one of the most important peace treaties created after World War I. It was signed between the Allied powers and Germany. The big three that were confirmed by USA, Great Britain, and France had their own names in regards to the treaty. France wanted to extract revenge on Germany for receiving most of the damage produced by Central Powers. How did Great Britain react to the treaty? They support reparations, also were focusing the power France could get, because France could become one of the most powerful forces in Europe. Britain only wanted to punish Germany, not to completely finish with them. Britain can consider to have come out satisfied with the signing of the treaty. The reactions in Great Britain were mixed, because by some part people agreed that the terms were fair, but they probably would be more severe. Any complaints by the Germans were dismissed as trickery and play acting. For his participation, David Lloyd George was received as a hero after he returned from Paris in 1919. How did the USA react to the treaty? President Woodrow Wilson's aim was to ensure peace and that there would be no future wars. It was matched with the fact that Americans wanted to separate themselves from the affairs in Europe as fast as possible. As a result, USA wanted to return to an isolationist state. The United States' reaction to the Treaty of Versailles was obvious. It was angry. Under the conditions of this treaty, the United States Senate refused to ratify it, because Americans thought that the treaty was unfair for Germany, especially because Britain and France were getting richer at Germany's expense, and that the USA should not be helping them to do this. Americans were also uneasy about Wilson's scheme for a League of Nations. They were concerned that belonging to the League would drag the USA into international disputes that were not their concern. In the end, the Congress rejected the Treaty of Versailles and the League of Nations. How did France react to the treaty? France wanted a complete revenge against Germany. As in everything, the reactions in the country were mixed, because from one side people were celebrating the end of the war, especially the punishment given to Germany, that consists on paying reparations, the demilitarization of the border Germany had occupied in France, and from the other side people also thought that Germany threatened them, because France had suffered far more than Germany, especially in the case of the cost of the war. Finally, France received the treaty in a bitter way, shown when Georges Clemenceau was outraged from presidential elections. Clemenceau had failed to carry out all of the demands by the French people. The deputy minister, Ferdinand Foch, had much criticism. Foch said that it was not peace, but 20 years of armistice. The French public was angered at the results of the Treaty of Versailles. Unfortunately, Clemenceau had no experience or knowledge of economics or finance. Overall, Clemenceau was voted out of office in January of 1920. How did Germany react to the treaty? Germany's reaction was based on hopes and expectations they would not suffer an excessive punishment. They received the treaty in a bitter way, because there was not opportunity for discussion. They were forced to sign it, and Germany did not see herself as a defeated nation. The treaty was seen as a diktat, because it resented the war guilt and the reparation payments, including the territorial losses and the denial of self-determination. Finally, the Treaty of Versailles was rejected. People wanted to see it revoked or revised. German population considered the treaty as ways to escape the burdens and restrictions imposed by the treaty. What do historians think of the treaty? Much criticism has been made of the treaty because it was too harsh on Germany. On the other hand, historians have pointed out that Germany could have been treated a lot more harshly for several reasons. Germany only accepted the 14 points when it was clear they were losing the war. In the harsh Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, the Germans took away 34% of Russia's population and 50% of its industry, and made them pay 300 million gold rubles in reparations. Clemenceau wanted the treaty to be much harsher, with Germany broken up into smaller states, but Wilson stopped this happening. The reparations payment cost Germany only 2% of its annual production. Germany's main economic problem was not reparations but war debt, which it had planned to pay by winning the war and making other countries pay reparations. In 1924, Germany received huge loans from the USA to help its economic recovery. The years of 1924 and 1929 were fairly prosperous for Germany. For example, Germany produced twice as much steel as Britain in 1925. Some historians believe that the peacemakers did the best job they could, given the difficult circumstances they were in. Other historians believe the treaty was a disastrous half measure. It managed Germany enough to cause resentment. However, it left Germany strong enough to seek revenge.